But I think what we're really wanting to dig into here is how to engage with young audiences and how festivals and filmmakers can do so. This is, of course, always it's a moving target, it's a changing, an evolving challenge in this industry. But I think, I love that we have the team from Wild Diamond, because this movie, a first-time filmmaker who is in competition at Cannes, and a film that really speaks to the moment. Maybe we can start by kind of painting the moment a little bit. If you want to tell us a little bit about, would the character in Wild Diamond go to the movies? She seems really to experience the world through another screen entirely. What do you think the relationship between the character or someone, kind of from her circle is to cinema, and how would you get through to her? Mais les questions en français aussi, c'est ça, go ahead. It's okay, it's just the question being translated. You'll get the answer in French, in English.
Unfortunately, in France, the cinema ticket is very expensive, so I don't know if she would have come in cinemas. But I think she would be quite interested by the fact that for the first time, maybe she is represented in a movie. I know that during the premiere in France, we began to make. Some young people came to me and told me that for once they were represented in movies. So maybe I think probablement en parlant leur langage aussi, en essayant de raconter ce qu'ils subissent, leur détresse, notamment dans Diamant Brut, le poids de la tyrannie de l'image que forcent les réseaux sociaux. Je pense que c'est essayer de se mettre à leur hauteur et en abordant la réalité de leur souffrance. Je pense que plus on se sent représenté, plus on aura tendance à vouloir aller voir un film.
It's also to, see others, see the film speak in their own language, to see themselves represented also in their suffering and in what they are going through, and to actually be able to see that captured on the screen and having that actually brought up as a topic to see behind, their lives and their experiences and, again, their suffering.
Malou, as a young person yourself, are you a frequent film goer? Do you love movies? Is that why you made one? Or is this sort of diving into a world that's a little less relevant to you? Just tell us a little bit about your relationship to cinema.
Moi, j'ai grandi dans un village avec peu d'habitants et pas de salle de cinéma. Donc, j'y allais très peu, à part dans une salle des fêtes où il y avait un Star Wars diffusé tous les 3 mois de temps en temps. Donc, c'était rare. Mais par contre, quand je suis arrivée à Marseille, j'ai vu notamment un film qui s'appelle Scheherazade de Jean-Bernard Marlin. Et en fait, je crois que ça résonne aussi pas mal avec Diamant Brut, dans le sens où c'est un film qui est cru, qui est réaliste. Et je crois que le public jeune va au cinéma pour voir la réalité et aussi la réalité, bien sûr. Moi, en tout cas, je crois que c'est ça que j'aime le plus. Au plus je découvre le cinéma, au plus j'aime les histoires qui résonnent de cette manière-là en moi.
Great.
So I grew up in a small village with just a few hundred people. There was no movie theater. Every once in a while, or every 3 months, they would show a movie sort of like in an auditorium. And maybe we'd go, maybe we wouldn't go. When I moved to Marseille, it was a little bit different. And there I did see a film called Scheherazade.
Scheherazade, yeah.
And that film actually, was a film that dealt with young people and where I could see that there's actually reality being depicted, and that was something that I felt drawn to. And I think in general, young people, they want to see that reality when they go to the movies, and that is something they might be looking for when they go.
It's interesting. I'm hearing loud and clear from both of your responses that representation, reflection, some sort of point of connection is important. And a lot of movies, I often think movies are both a window into another world and also a mirror of ourselves. And it seems something that I think the entire industry is engaging with a lot more now, to pick up on making that mirror wider and more inclusive, and showing things that have never been seen before, which at the same time, if I'm not part of that group, means the window also gets wider and more interesting as well. Tate, we have you representing young people here in America. You've been devouring movies here at the festival all week. I think we don't have to convince you, but give us, to come out to see movies, but tell us kind of if you feel like kind of an alien among your friends, or like, is there hope? Are you the kind of like film geek and everyone else is busy on their phones or doing other things?
Believe it or not, but I have a few friends that are much more film geeks than I am, it's always interesting talking to them, because I'm someone, I really love film. It's really exciting. I've been raised around film, blockbusters, but also my great aunt has always introduced me to like very avant-garde and very stylistic cinema, because she's an artist, so as artists do. No, I feel like I'm around people, especially my age. I'm 21, so we had a lot of time before TikTok and everything, so we really got to grow up with a lot of time. We really got to grow up around film, and I think it's, I've been introduced to film, especially through my parents. As a child, we were a really big movie and TV family, and so I discovered my love through there, and I think it's just important to keep on doing that, to bring film to the next generation, because it is on us to kind of keep film as an industry alive as it's been falling out. And I think it's sad, but I really think that a lot of people that I know really do enjoy film, and some not so much, as will always happen, but I really find myself in a world where it's been very valued and loved around me and my friends, although as a film geek, maybe I'm a bit biased.
I'm pitching this question to the Count of Monte Cristo team. Any one of you can kind of grab it, but this movie has been a phenomenal success in France. I mean, it's just blown up all the records, and therefore it's getting through to people. But before you made the film, you've made films that have reached much smaller audiences. I wonder, what was the secret, I guess, as something that transcended all the demographics, to sort of make sure that included in that is younger audiences? I mean, is that something you ever consciously thought of, or do you just set out to make the best film possible and hope that will be enough to draw them?
C'est toujours une question difficile, mais je pense qu'on a toujours refusé avec Matthieu de réfléchir en termes d'audience en créant les projets. Je n'ai aucune idée de ce que les gens ont envie de voir, et encore moins la jeunesse. On a chacun des enfants qui ont une vingtaine d'années. Je pense qu'on a... on s'est fait une réflexion, mais je trouvais ça très intéressant par rapport à ce qui a été dit aujourd'hui. C'est-à-dire, nous, on a eu le sentiment, on est Matthieu et moi, de grands cinéphiles, et on a grandi dans la cinéphilie, et on reste des gens passionnés comme spectateurs de cinéma. Et on a, nous, ressenti un manque par rapport à un cinéma qui a été aussi le cinéma de notre jeunesse, qui est un cinéma, je dirais, de grandes fresques. Et ce cinéma de grandes fresques, et donc ce cinéma du romanesque, a été abandonné par le cinéma français, mais aussi par le cinéma américain, qui en a été un grand porteur pendant des années.
Je vous interromps juste une minute pour une traduction, et puis on revient.
D'accord, merci. So actually, it's a difficult question, but we actually have always refused to actually consider the audience or think about what the audience might want, because we have no idea, what the audience wants to see. So when we are conceiving a film, that's not what we think about. We don't know what the younger generation wants. We both have kids in our 20s, and still, and before the making of the film, that does not really come, into our thinking. However, it is an interesting question, and Matthieu and I are both movie buffs, and we did feel like there was something missing. We did feel like the movies and the cinema of our childhood was kind of gone, and kind of the romantic, that kind of cinema, those kind of films were not there anymore, not in France and not in the US. So that was maybe a starting point for us.
Continuez, c'était pas pour vous...
Non, mais c'était c'était cette idée de renouer avec une forme de romanesque. Et on a été impressionnés dans tous les échanges que nous avons eus en France. Il se trouve que ensuite, quand a été analysé, on n'a jamais fait un film avec Matthieu avec autant de jeunes spectateurs. Donc c'était pour nous nouveau et formidable pour ce film-là. Et on a été impressionnés de le voir en France, mais aussi dans les échanges qu'on a eus avec les étudiants américains toute cette semaine, de voir à quel point il y avait une adhésion à cette forme de romanesque, de retour du romanesque. Et je pense qu'on parle d'effets en fait, de miroir. Et dans la société dans laquelle on est, je dirais, très individualiste et je dirais très peu porté, en tout cas dans l'image, sur le sentiment. Ce retour des sentiments au premier degré a eu visiblement beaucoup d'impact, et notamment chez les jeunes, en France et aussi ici. Donc je trouve que c'est très intéressant. Et je pense qu'on gardera ça en tête pour la suite.
So yeah, now when we're looking at it and we're analyzing it maybe a little bit, and we're looking at the audience, and we see that indeed it drew so much of every generation, especially of young people. So there was this resonance, that feeling that, oh yeah, they were missing this kind of Romanesque theater, Romanesque cinema, and that it's something that people love and that they do want to see. And we were talking about a mirror, right? So it is sort of maybe mirroring back to us what the need is, and also, in our society that is somewhat very individualistic, where, people do have a need to see feelings, to have feelings expressed towards them in France and in the US, and to see that in young people is something that is, of course, really interesting to discover at this point.
Go ahead, please.
Oui, je crois qu'il y a quelque chose qui est intéressant, je trouve, chez les jeunes, c'est qu'ils peuvent adorer des films, mais ils ne vont pas les voir. C'est-à-dire que, je prends l'exemple, nous, pendant le Covid, j'étais avec mes 3 fils, qui ont entre 20 et 25 ans, et comme j'étais bloqué à la maison, j'ai pu les obliger à regarder des films, parce qu'ils ne pouvaient pas sortir. Et donc, je leur ai montré tous les jours un film. Donc, et les films qu'ils ont adorés, mais leurs films, ils ne voulaient pas, bien sûr, mais bon. Comme ils ne pouvaient pas sortir.
On pose là juste pour rattraper.
Okay. So there's this thing about young people that they might adore films, but they actually don't see them or go watch them. So I have 3 sons between 20 and 26, and during COVID, I actually forced them to watch some movies. They had to watch 1 film a day, which they did, even though they did not want to. And I think we're about to find out what film they most liked.
Et aujourd'hui, leurs films préférés sont des films qu'ils ne voulaient pas voir. Et c'est fascinant. Je prendrai un exemple sur le film sur lequel nous avons travaillé juste avant Monte Cristo, qui était Les 3 Mousquetaires. Et on a fait une projection test, et le public qui préférait le film, vraiment qui adorait le film, c'était les 15-25 ans. Et à la fin de l'exploitation, on a regardé qui était venu voir le film, et c'était le public qui était le moins venu voir le film. Donc, il y a le problème de la jeunesse n'est pas... Il y a le goût et l'image qu'ils ont eux-mêmes du cinéma qu'ils ont envie d'aller voir. Et je vois que souvent, les jeunes Français que je connais vont voir des films ou des comédies françaises où ils peuvent aller avec leurs copains, ou des grands films américains, mais il y a comme une sorte de refus d'aller voir des films qui pourtant leur plairaient. Et la chance qu'on a eue sur Monte Cristo, c'est qu'ils y sont justement massivement allés. mais parce qu'on a beaucoup travaillé justement sur l'accès aux jeunes entre Les Trois Mousquetaires et Monte Cristo.
Oui, je vais traduire d'abord. So, the thing is, yeah, like we said, they ended up really preferring those films that they wouldn't actually go see those. So when we did the Three Musketeers, that was sort of put to the test because we did a test screening, and the audience that liked it best were those that were between 15 and 25. But when the film came out, you know, they didn't go see it. That wasn't the age group that went to actually see the film. So they have this taste for the films, but the films that they like most, they don't see. They go see musicals, you know, they see the US blockbusters. That's what they'll, not what they actually would maybe like to see. So that was for us, though, something that we did end up working on a lot between the Three Musketeers and then the Count of Monte Cristo.
Non, je voulais juste dire pourquoi la jeunesse est venue voir massivement le Comte de Monte Cristo, alors que c'est un film d'époque tiré d'une œuvre littéraire que 10% des jeunes français n'ont pas lu, 1200 pages. Je pense que peut-être, c'est une question que je me pose, mais je pense que c'est une différence aussi de génération qu'il y a aujourd'hui, et que la jeunesse d'aujourd'hui, les adolescents d'aujourd'hui, sont dans une sorte de rapport sur une recherche, en tout cas c'est ce que je pense par rapport au film, de romantisme. C'est une grande histoire d'amour, d'abord, de vengeance certes, mais je pense que ce qui a attiré les jeunes, et je vois un peu sur Letterboxd quand ils en parlent, c'est beaucoup quand même sur cette histoire d'amour gâché, trahi, et sur ces histoires des jeunes, de la rédemption de ces jeunes gens. Et c'est ça qui les a touchés beaucoup, je pense.
So we're thinking about it. Why did young people actually come out and saw the Count of Monte Cristo and then did enjoy it? You know, it's a historic film, right? It's based on a book that it's 1,200 pages that most of them probably did not read. But this is a different
now
generation.
they want to read
and
it.
Now they want.
After the movie.
But they didn't read it before the movie, exactly. And now they're interested. And I do also think it is the search for the romantic, that the love story. That's also, when we've been talking to the kids after seeing the film, that's something they really picked up on and they were drawn in by is this love story that's hidden and it's betrayed, and that's something that, that they want to see and that speaks to them.
It's an interesting theory. I mean, it's also interesting that both, to sort of now expand the perspective to film festivals, both films premiered at the Cannes Film Festival. And this is among festivals, one in which it's, an industry exclusive event. It's not open to the general public. It's not open to young people. That helps attract attention. But I'm curious, Agathe, with Wild Diamond in particular, did you feel like you were premiering the film to its intended audience, or maybe a fraction of the intended audience? There's something unusual? I even feel I'm part of the privileged group who can see a film at Cannes, but at the same time, the movie's speaking to a younger generation, and it's being judged by critics who are older, the industry who's older. It must be very surreal. It's the highest honor to premiere at Cannes. But I'm curious what you felt in terms of the audience you had in mind for the film and the first audience in the world who would see and judge it.
Je rejoins un peu ce que tu disais. Moi, quand j'ai écrit Diamant Brut, j'ai pas réfléchi au public, pas dans le sens où je n'aime pas le public, mais dans le sens où si je commence à réfléchir au public, je fabrique une publicité et c'est un rapport qui est totalement différent. Donc ce qui est certain, c'était que le Diamant Brut est destiné à tous les publics d'une certaine façon. Bien sûr aux jeunes, c'est certain, mais aussi aux parents des jeunes et à toutes les couches de la société. Donc c'est des choses, c'est des questions auxquelles on réfléchit beaucoup en ce moment, puisqu'on est en pleine promotion, mais tout au long de la fabrication du film, de la prépa et du tournage, on ne s'est pas dit parce on veut plaire aux jeunes, on va faire ci, ou parce que on veut plaire aux moins jeunes, on va faire ça. C'est aussi prendre les gens un peu pour les mettre dans des cases et les rabaisser aussi. Donc c'est appauvrir beaucoup la manière de faire les choses. Mais et je sais plus comment rebondir sur Cannes et tout.
So I have to kind of echo what they said. Like when we were writing the film, we did not think about the audience. We weren't writing it for the audience because honestly, if I start writing or thinking about the audience, then it's more like I'm writing an ad, or that's not writing it for somebody. But it is really for all audiences. It is, of course, for young people, but it is also to the parents of the young people, and it is for all parts of society, the different levels of society, and now of course we're sort of thinking about who would want to see it, but not during the shooting, because also it is in some way sort of degrading if you're thinking of certain parts of society a certain way, or what they would like or would not like, and that's not something we wanted to be part of the film and of the filmmaking.
Puis je pense que l'intérêt, ce que je voulais faire aussi, déjà, c'était rechercher quelque chose de très authentique. Je rebondis, du coup, j'en profite pour rebondir sur les propos de Patrick. Je pense que le Comte de Monte Cristo, personnellement, en le voyant, j'ai tellement aimé voir de l'amour et voir de l'authenticité et revenir à des choses profondément authentiques que sont l'amour et ce qu'on est capable de faire par amour, à savoir de la vengeance, etc. Et pour Diamant Brut, même s'il il est aussi question d'amour, d'ailleurs, dans Diamant Brut, il est aussi question que de ça, et de montrer ce que c'est que l'authenticité, en fait. Et peut-être que ça fait du bien aussi au public de voir des choses de manière finalement plus crue ou plus généreuse, plus radicale, et d'arrêter de faire des détours pour expliquer que l'idéal c'est ci ou l'idéal c'est ça, et en fait, non, ça fait un peu grande phrase, mais c'est d'être dans une démarche plus authentique et qui fait du bien, au final, je pense. Et, voilà.
So what I really care about is authenticity, and that was really important to my film, but it's also what I loved in the Count of Monte Cristo. It's the love that is depicted in the film is so authentic, and you look at love and what it makes you do, and Count of Monte Cristo, it leads to this kind of vengeance, but also Wild Diamond is also about love, and it's about looking for love and searching for love and looking for these things in your life. And I think it's maybe really good to see it also in a form that is, raw and that is radical. And this kind of authenticity, makes us maybe also question, like, what are our ideals? Are those ideals, is there only one ideal that should be followed? And this could just bring up all these different emotions then in the audience with this authenticity.
I'm curious on an anecdotal level, and this could be to any of the professionals we have here on stage, but in interacting with an audience member who is younger, was there anything that has surprised you, almost a way that they might have seen things differently or might be watching things differently? You make a movie like Count of Monte Cristo for the biggest screen, some of those kids are going to be watching it on the smallest one. I don't know. I mean, I'm fishing because I don't know the answer that I'm looking for, but I'm hoping that it could be this past week when you were showing your film here to American students. It could be, in France, just having a response from someone where you realized, I sent this out into the world and this is what came back from a young person.
Moi, ce qui m'a surpris, mais qui m'a rendu assez fier, et j'ai été très frappé de voir dans les échanges qu'on a eus avec les étudiants américains cette semaine, on a eu le désir de faire un film qui était épique, pour grand écran, etc., et qui est complètement assumé, et c'était un des objets du film, mais aussi de faire un film intime, et en réalité, les questions étaient sur l'intime. Toutes les questions étaient assez philosophiques, c'était sur quels étaient leurs propres rapports au pardon et à la vengeance. Et donc les questions touchaient absolument l'intimité des personnages. Et les questions ne touchaient absolument pas l'aspect baroque. C'est-à-dire que ça, c'est quelque chose qui a été complètement accepté, mais ils se sont intéressés vraiment aux personnages et aux sentiments des personnages. Et donc ça, c'est exactement ce qui a existé en France dans les échanges qu'on a eus, mais on a eu les mêmes échanges avec les étudiants américains. On a été vraiment frappés tous les trois de voir à quel point la réponse du public américain était proche de celle du public français, ce qui raconte aussi quelque chose sur le regard des jeunes sur le monde qui est assez proche, en fait, au-delà des différences de culture.
What really surprised us the most and what made us so proud here when we were showing the film to the US high school students, you know, we made an epic movie, right? It's a movie for the big screen, but we also wanted to make an intimate film. And the thing they most picked up on and they had all the question about was the intimate parts of the film. They were interested in the characters, they were interested in the concept of revenge. There were quite philosophical questions that came up with love and trust and all pertaining to the feelings and to the intimate aspects of the film. And, you know, they completely accepted, you know, the setting, this kind of era. There were no questions asked. That was just something they took on, and what they cared about, again, were the characters. And it was amazing to see that was actually also the same as it was in France. So we could see that the young people in France and here in US, in both cultures, that they both seem to have this need for seeing something and connecting with something that is intimate, with feelings and with the characters who have these feelings.
Moi, ce qui m'a frappé dans les retours qu'ont fait le public le plus jeune, c'est le rapport à la violence et à qu'est-ce qui est violent, qu'est-ce qui les agresse et qu'est-ce qui les agresse absolument pas. Et là où moi, je voulais raconter une forme de violence. Et du coup, sur la représentation de la violence, il y avait une jeune femme, par exemple, qui était très perturbée par certaines scènes du film, pas du tout par la scène qui, pour moi, est une des scènes les plus glaçantes du film. Et donc, c'était intéressant de discuter avec elle de cette représentation de la violence et aussi de me rendre compte que finalement, ce que je dénonce dans le film... étant aussi la culture du viol, de voir que c'est quand même quelque chose qu'on nous déverse sur les réseaux sociaux H24. Enfin, les réseaux sociaux n'ont pas beaucoup de limites, ne sont pas vraiment modérés, et qu'en fait la violence est complètement acceptée sur les réseaux sociaux, mais quand elle est racontée de manière encadrée à l'intérieur d'un film, là ça pose problème parce que tout à coup il y a un rapport d'intimité avec l'histoire et l'image qui est très différent. Donc c'était vraiment quelque chose, c'est un des points qui m'a interpellée sur cette représentation de la violence et qu'est-ce qui est violent, comment raconter cette violence aussi, et qu'est-ce que j'ai le droit de dire comme violence, bref, je suis pas claire.
For me, for the film, and also in connection with the audience, was the question of violence, right? What is actually considered violent and by whom? And are there different perspectives on violence? Is maybe something some people feel like is violent, others might not think, and how it is violent, and how does it affect them? And for example, there was one young woman that responded to the film, and the scenes that for her that she felt violent weren't the same scenes that for me were really the most violent scenes in the film. So there's different perspectives on that, and that was something that drew me also with regard to the social media, because on the social media platforms they're not moderated, so we see all kinds of violence that we would maybe otherwise not be exposed to, but somehow we accept it. Yet when it is in a film, then all of a sudden it becomes something much more intimate, and all of a sudden we are affected by this violence that is taking place. And that is something, that also then made me question myself, how am I telling this, and what do I have the right to show? And all this, became quite a center for the film as well.
Je trouve que d'ailleurs, il y a un point entre ton film, votre film, et c'est que justement, on est dans une société qui est ultra sexualisée, qui est très agressive sur le corps et la représentation qu'on a de soi-même. Et je pense que les jeunes vivent une période qui est extrêmement violente pour ça, parce que c'est une période très exhibitionniste, où on montre beaucoup et on est obligé de se conformer à un certain type de sexualité ou à un certain type de représentation de soi-même dans ces types-là. Et nous, on a essayé de faire un film qui, justement, est, je dirais, quand on parlait du miroir et de la fenêtre, on a de faire un film ultra romantique, où justement, il n'y a pas du tout cette dimension-là. Et je pense que, comme le personnage dans ton film, qui au fond a un rapport très comme ça, mais qui intérieurement est très bloqué, a du mal à vivre son propre corps, je pense que quelque part, le fait d'ouvrir à cette génération, d'avoir un rapport romantique, c'est-à-dire d'avoir une vision fantasmée qui ne soit pas salie, je pense que c'est aussi un désir qui est très profond à la jeunesse.
De la douceur, oui.
So you know the film that you're showing, or the society and part of society you're showing, it's like hyper sexualized, hyper, brutalized in a way too. It's very violent, and that is something though young people are obviously exposed to now. We have this kind of exhibitionism, this sort of, constraint, or we have to sort of adapt, or young people feel like they need to conform to a certain form of sexuality or to have at least a certain representation of themselves. And these are things you're showing in your film. And now when we're talking about this mirror or this window, these are things, our film is not showing at all, right? It's showing all these very, very romantic ideas. But when now we look back at this film, when this is exactly maybe what is missing, and that is maybe behind or inside of it is this interior life. So the character who is looking for something romantic, who is looking for something that she wants to fulfill, and that is hiding, inside of this exterior that we are, presented with.
It's interesting because it makes me realize, in a way, one of the strengths of Wild Diamond, you had to, find the language and the way of communication of this generation, but you're almost translating it back outwards into a more classical form, into cinema. The character is living in a media environment. All of her choices are kind of motivated to either become a star or vis-a-vis the other kind of stars she's seen, but the movie feels in zero ways old-fashioned, but it is kind of you're putting that experience, which you had to learn the language for almost by so that you can represent the character, back into kind of cinema form in a way that, as you mentioned, it's as much for parents as it is for the young people. I'm rambling rather than posing this as a question, but the part that I'm interested in is how you yourself, who does not belong to the generation of the character, kind of found yourself comfortable, almost like speaking the language of that generation.
Peut-être parce que je suis à la bordure entre les deux âges. Enfin, j'exagère un peu, mais
I'm between the two ages.
En fait, je regarde tellement de télé-réalité et je suis tellement sur les réseaux sociaux les candidats de télé-réalité que j'ai grandi aussi avec eux. Ça fait des années que je regarde de la télé-réalité. Donc, en suivant les candidats, ils grandissent, je grandis avec eux. Donc, je me sens extrêmement proche de cet univers, de ce phrasé, du vocabulaire qui est très spécifique. Donc, ça n'a pas été... Je n'ai pas fait d'effort intellectuel pour me glisser dans la peau d'une jeune femme de 19 ans et parler comme une jeune femme de 19 ans parlerait. J'avais l'impression de connaître déjà cette fille et de retranscrire finalement tout ce qu'elle disait. Donc il y avait quelque chose de très... j'avais l'oreille et l'œil très, très, très attentif à tout ça depuis tellement longtemps que c'est comme si je parlais de ma sœur en fait. Donc c'était plutôt... Enfin, c'était un plaisir plus qu'un effort...
So yeah, I'm maybe between the ages, I don't know, but what I have been doing is watching a lot of reality TV, and I've done that for years, and so I actually grew up with those contestants in those films, so I've been feeling really, really close to them, and I'm familiar with their world and with their vocabulary, so that wasn't really something that I had to intellectually approach to sort of learn a language or learn something that is outside of me, that is something that I already knew, and that character is someone I already knew that I had been with for a long time, and kind of like a sister. Like it was more really like so much pleasure rather than effort.
Tate, I'm curious, have you, before the American French Film Festival, have you gone to other film festivals? Because I think I was already in college when I attended my first, even though they in Los Angeles, there's like 200 film festivals that happen. That's not an exaggeration. I mean, there's probably 3 this weekend, you know. But it's not to embarrass you, but only to just get a sense of, you know, anecdotally for you, was this an introduction, or have you been kind of, maybe you said your aunt or your mother was, you know, kind of an artist, maybe they've brought you along?
This is actually my first film festival that I've actually gone to. I've had the opportunity in the past when I've been in LA and it just hasn't worked out because of schedule or difficulties getting places. It's something I've always wanted to do. I mean, I think there is still this kind of mystique around film festivals, just thinking to like Sundance or Cannes, where they feel so kind of scary, like you said, to the regular person. I mean, those are obviously the super top level film festivals, but I think just as someone, as like, I'm gonna say a regular person, although we're all different, it feels very intimidating, I think, for a lot of young people to go to a film festival because it feels so official and without a very direct connection, it feels very outside of the world that we live in daily. And so it's been amazing to get to be involved with this film festival and attend the films. I just want to say both of these films were amazing, and I really enjoyed both of them so much. So I think there's a way that we need to like demystify film festivals to make them seem more inclusive. And I know that this film festival very specifically works with high schools, which I think is such an amazing thing. I would have loved if in high school we got to go see a film at a film festival. I wasn't in LA, so that's a very LA thing, it feels to me, but that's such an incredible experience. I remember being introduced to drama and the symphony in middle school on field trips, and it's such an incredible experience to actually be taken there, because you just have to take that first step into the world, and once you do that, it's very cool. And I think that's just the hard step for a lot of people to take these days, is they have to know that they really want to do something, and for them to know that, we just have to push them a little bit more. And so I think I'm glad I kind of got pushed into this film festival, and it's been really excellent, and I hope to attend more in the future.
That's great, and that's really encouraging. It is about sort of you know, crossing that threshold. So congratulations on your first film festival. Malou, I have a feeling your first film festival may have been the Cannes Film Festival, walking the red carpet. The film has played other festivals since. What do you think of this world? Is it something that you can ever see yourself attending, or I mean, you're seeing it kind of from the other side, but I think, I don't know if you understood what Tate was saying about it can seem intimidating. It doesn't seem open or welcoming necessarily, even though that's exactly what film festivals want to be, is they want to reach the audience. So if you just share another young person's perspective of festivals.
Bah, effectivement, j'ai vu, mon premier festival, c'est effectivement Cannes. Donc, c'est quand même, je ne sais pas si j'ai un avis qui reflète particulièrement ceux des autres, et je veux parler au nom de personne, mais par contre, moi, ce que j'ai découvert et ce qui m'a surpris, et je pense que c'est ça qu'il faut vraiment faire comprendre aux gens, de tout âge d'ailleurs, mais c'est que je me suis vraiment rendu compte que les festivals, c'était juste vraiment une concentration de gens passionnés, vraiment passionnés par le cinéma, et qui voulaient juste... c'est des endroits d'échange incroyables et riches. J'ai aucune idée de si je serais allée dans un festival de cinéma par moi-même un jour, probablement. Mais en tout cas, ce que j'ai découvert, c'est juste vraiment un univers riche de gens passionnés et qui ont envie de donner leur passion aux autres. Donc, c'est que bien, quoi.
So yeah, it was my first film festival, was Cannes, and so maybe that doesn't really reflect everybody else's experience. But you know, what did really surprise me and what stood out to me when I was there is that I saw that, you know, the people at the festival, they're really people who are passionate about films, and they want to share their passion about films, and that's really what it is about. And there's an amazing exchange. It's very rich. It's you know, I don't know if I would have gone to a film festival just like that. You know, I can't tell you, but I have to say, having gone and what I found there was really just a world of people who have a lot of passion for what they're doing, who want to share what they're doing, and who are very excited about, you know, making films.
Juste maintenant que j'entends ma propre traduction, je me rends compte que c'est un tout petit peu... En fait, évidemment, c'est pas hyper surprenant qu'il y ait des gens passionnés de cinéma dans des festivals de cinéma, mais ce que je voulais dire par là, c'était plutôt que peu importe, parce que donc pour rebondir sur ce que disait Tate, sorry. Pour rebondir sur ce que disait Tate, c'est que oui, ça peut paraître très officiel, mais en fait, peu importe que ce soit des producteurs, des réalisateurs, des acteurs, des gens qui viennent juste au festival comme ça, ce qui réunit tout le monde, c'est la passion du cinéma, et donc ça met tout le monde sur un pied d'égalité, d'échange, et c'est ça qui est vraiment accueillant dans un festival de cinéma. C'est mieux.
So just hearing back to what I was saying when I was hearing it in English, when I was talking about, you know, people being passionate about movies, I wanted to relate to what Tate was saying, since, you know, from the outside it might seem so official and so sort of, you know, distant, but you know, it actually creates some, like, this kind of equality among the people when they're there, you know, if they're actors or directors or producers, that they all, you know, share that, and so it becomes a very fruitful platform for exchange.
It makes me realize another major benefit of festivals is something like what we're doing now, where there is a chance for the creators to interface with the audience, and to the extent that young people, they're of course welcome. Sometimes it's about how to reach them, but you know, it's a chance to kind of understand how a film is made, where it's coming from, maybe inspire them as future storytellers or filmmakers themselves. Pascal, I kind of want to give you the last word here, because I don't know anyone in Los Angeles who attends more local film festivals than you do. That's really kind of what you're dedicated to. And you know, if we can look within that experience, specifically about, like, are you seeing young people, and do you have a couple theories, thoughts that might you know, help inspire, motivate them to come more often?
Okay, that's the subject now. I'm going to be the disruptor because I mean, this is all very well, and that's great and quite interesting. What we do is to try and engage all these things, and this is a wonderful panel, by the way, because you have two extremes, and you have young people and older people. So that's all we need to make an interesting panel. But we need to discuss the harsh reality, because the harsh reality is that cinema is going down the drain. It's not like, oh, kumbaya, there's a lot of passionate people going to film festival. The harsh reality is that even the biggest film festivals of Los Angeles, the film capital of the world, are disappearing one after the other, or reducing their scope one after the other through lack of funding, et cetera, and we can blame it on COVID all we want, but this trend, you know this better than I do, but started before COVID. It's not COVID. I mean, COVID didn't help, the strike didn't help, but that started way before COVID. So to go back to your questions and what I've been dying to say for a little while now, why is because we don't renew audiences. Because most of people at all the festivals I attend, the same ones you attend, I do considerably less than you, by the way, Peter, but that's
more here, though. You go to more here.
It's mainly older audiences, as we all know, and that's a problem. That's a problem. So here we have two examples of completely different films, equally good. I mean, what defines a film as good or not good? I mean, I don't know, but they're completely different. You know, you have like an epic film, and you have a very contemporary film showing the reality of young people today in France, and one which was not my choice, by the way, but it's somewhat sponsored by my foundation, since it was the film that was chosen by François for the high school kids, and between us, that probably wouldn't have been my choice, and I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you why I was wrong also. So before you jump on me, 3-hour movie, 3-hour movie, you know, period piece. This, we hadn't done this before. In the 14 years we've done this, and I'm like, whoa, that's going to be a hard sale. Now, I went to see the movie. I did what they did. I did the micro-trottoir. I don't know what you say. Interviewing like the kids, and they loved it. And we had every day for 5 days in a row in the big cinema, 600 kids times 5 coming out like blown away. So that was a reality check, and I'm happy. I love the movie also. My kind of movie is more like the small gems from a first time. Is this your first feature? I think, yeah. I was blown away by your movie also, obviously for different reasons. There's not one cinema. There are several cinemas, and that's the beauty of cinema, in that you talk about it, you say, oh, I didn't like this, or I like that. And for the Parisian that I was, of my age, that was the normal. For here, I'm considered a film buff, but you know, no TikTok, no smartphones, none of this when I grew up, and I'm sure a lot of people relate to this. Now, I'm throwing all this together. I think Tate is almost the most important person here. We had a little talk just before, and for all his positivity, that's an American thing, you know. You need to be positive. I'm American now, but I need to be negative a little bit of the time, and then some people would argue a lot of the time. But
so. That's all great. I love that you're stirring it up. I'm not going to let you have the last word. I'm going to punctuate a few of these things, because it's like, it's not going down the drain, but it is definitely under constant threat, and so it needs audiences, it needs support, and you are 100% right. I remember I came as a senior in college to Los Angeles during the summer. Outfest was going on, and I went to Outfest, and then, you know, now it no longer exists, but you know, maybe 20 years ago I was going to Outfest, and I was like, it's the same crowd. It's like prom for old gay men. You know, it's like and it's like, I love that they have that relationship, but like, how do you reach young people? Maybe young people don't need a gay film event like that to find each other in the world of apps and other sort of things, but it's like, how you, and so they, you know, they were trying things and they were trying to reach out, but that's one festival where it's an issue. Here, the thing that you're supporting at the American Fringe Film Festival with showing a film to high school students is amazing. What Tate said earlier, I think is really helpful to know. Just like, how do you get a young person into the festival for the first time so they know what it is, they aren't scared of it, and they'll either tell their friends or they'll come again in the future. And I mean, this is going to sound really patronizing, but like, bring someone with you next time. You know, like your niece, your nephew, your son, your daughter, your, like, you know, you're right. I mean, me too. You know, it's like, I go to the movies all the time by myself. It's like we have to indoctrinate them, convert them, like, you know, show them the way, you know, because that's meant to just sort of maybe add a couple more optimistic twists to what you're saying, but I think
Thank you for correcting.
Sounding the alarm is totally appropriate. So would anyone else like to add anything to what I've said, because it doesn't have to be me who ends. Go ahead.
Moi, j'aimerais dire que arriver à faire venir autant de gens pour un film qui dure 3 heures, alors que les Français sont... Il faut un peu les motiver quand même pour les bouger, etc. Je trouve que justement, c'est un signe de beaucoup d'espoir. Et je suis d'accord, bien évidemment, qu'il faut tirer la sonnette, mais je trouve que c'est une très belle preuve d'espoir et de désir de cinéma, en tout cas en France, et je pense que probablement aussi, en tout cas à Los Angeles aussi, puisque ça a été un franc succès que de faire venir autant d'étudiants aussi heureux de voir ce film. Donc il faut s'accrocher à ce signal-là, mais c'est un peu naïf, mais en tout cas...
No, I agree. Go ahead.
So yeah, I need to say though that to get so many people and so many young people to go see a 3-hour film, I mean that really gives us hope, right? And yes, we can sound the alarm clock, but we should, or the alarm, maybe not the alarm clock, just the alarm. So, but this does really give us hope, right? And I think it's okay to feel that, and especially since we have seen it in France with that film, and now seeing it here with all the high schoolers who came to see that film, I think it's okay to have hope.
It's great. I mean, and it makes me realize festivals are a way that, of course, we probably all bring younger people to the movies, but there is something about, a festival that I think the reason why you guys have developed this program here at TAFF is to show those students that they can also, it's not necessarily come back to this festival, but also just go to foreign films, go to French films, go to movies that are maybe outside the range of the narrow thing you thought you were interested in. And hopefully we are starting habits or showing them, sort of like opening a new window. I'm encouraged, Tate, that, your elders have kind of like, fostered the necessary things in you to bring you to this place, this week. But do you want to give us a last thought, and then we can kind of turn people loose?
Sure. I think that there's such a magic, especially in a film like The Count of Monte Cristo, because it's such a classic story, but it's told in such a modern way. And I think it's really easy to connect with, especially for young people, because we don't get to see as many period epics like that. I thought it was excellent. And I think also Wild Diamond, the most recent American season of Love Island was its most popular yet and all over social media. So I think there's an amount that we can see these things and just feel a connection to it. And I think that, especially with The Count of Monte Cristo, people are going to resonate with that, and that's going to open up a whole other world of classic movies to see, and other movies that just, when young people see this, I know, including myself, after I watched it, I immediately went to Google to see what are some other versions of the film or some older versions. And I think that's such a magical thing about technology, is that we can just see something we like and go, I really like this, I want to see more. And I know that I'm not the only person that did that after watching the movie. So
it's harder to find than you'd realize. Like, there's a Gérard Depardieu version, can't be seen. The Louis Jourdan version, impossible to watch. But some people are being sent to read the book. I can't believe you said 90%. You think 90% of French people have not read it? I sort of assumed they'd all read it, and it was me who kind of had to do the Wikipedia thing to review it. But well, hopefully you're inspiring people in this way too, to sort of expand their culture.
What is incredible that
there's a mic right there.
Sorry. What is crazy is that after when they saw the movie this summer, because the France sortie
release.
Pardon, la sortie française c'était fin juin. Le livre est devenu le best-seller de cet été. Non, c'est vrai.
So the film was released in June. The book became the bestseller of the summer.
That's terrific. Well, I hope we entertained you. I hope we've given you some food for thought. Thank you all, and congratulations on your films. Thank you for coming all the way to Los Angeles to share them with us.